don't. Say that again?
Said I've usurped your chair.
I got recorded. There you go. Yeah, now you're busted, Bill.
I am trying to take over Northfield.
Be our guest. Charlie, give him the keys, quick.
Build my little fiefdom. I got Steve here. I got Kevin here now. I'm infiltrating.
I'm telling you. And we're better for it.
John, get the flank defenses ready.
That's right. We're coming in. Wearing face masks.
Charlie's gonna lead on his horse. No, on the John Deere tractor. How's that? It goes backwards. That was
I had to
amazing.
hitch logs on my forwarder. I've got a good sized tractor, and I had
That's the meat of it, that's not the exact
No,
copy.
but that's fine.
Yeah.
I got a 12-foot bunker on my forwarder, and I had 18-foot logs.
Just
which
go
was
give her
too
the
much weight.
good news.
Too much weight on the back end, which took the weight off the tractor. So I'm going up the hill, and it's a 10-degree steep hill, and it's a town-maintained road. And I got to the steep part, and I started going backwards. And it's like, oh fuck, this is bad.
Is that today?
Yesterday, I just
Time to discontinue the road. Can't have that happen on town roads.
Right.
And once we get through today, then we start putting, we're going.
Cool.
We'll explain the whole thing, but this is good. This is a good one to do it. I've been doing 3 or 4 of these going, and these are good. This session is good.
Who's coming? Is everyone gonna be
Lydia,
here?
I would think Mary's gonna be here. Lydia, I'm not sure of.
She said she would. She could make it.
Good.
I mean, at least
Tomorrow I know she can't.
as per email.
What does Lydia do?
She's training for nurse. She's in nurse training. I don't know what level she's interested in doing. Whether she's gonna go LPN or
No, RN.
She's gonna go to RN.
She is. She's working at Woodridge right now. And she's in
really?
the LNA program, which she has already passed the exam, and now it'll go to the next step. The only reason why I know is my wife works there, and she keeps me posted.
Your progress reports.
Yes, exactly.
Small towns.
I get daily intelligence reports,
Steve, would you pass me an agenda, please?
except when my friends are
Thank you,
there.
sir.
All of a sudden, reading the newspaper, they're dead. I said, Deborah, why didn't you tell me this?
Can't tell you patient information.
No.
I said that myself and realized this needs to be turned around because it's got a great view.
When I first started up here, Charlotte Craig was our,
Yeah, I remember.
yeah, she was the city clerk and Doug Craig was the police chief. Yeah, one day we had an executive session and the city council was all, and Charlotte would come in with us into the executive session. Council was all over me about Doug. I can't remember what it was, some idea, I don't know what it was, but they were just all over me. So the next day I met with them, I said, well, you probably heard about this. She goes, no. And I was like, well, he goes, oh no, Charlotte wouldn't tell me anything. I was like, your own husband. And I was like,
Yeah, but that was her
yeah,
personality.
and
I
I said it
do
was her
remember
personality
that.
too, but he was like, yeah, no, yeah. I'm like, okay then, good to know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, well,
Was Doug a Norwich guy? Was Doug Hoyt a Norwich guy? I think he was.
I think he was, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. So was Tony.
Yeah, I knew Tony was. Yeah. I hired Doug's son. He still works there.
Blue Ridge has an MPA program, right? Yes, they did.
Yeah, I believe they do.
We should be,
Hey,
we should be rating them.
Hey,
Hello. We should be rating them.
all started?
At least for now.
well, we need the right screen.
Oh, yeah, it's
You got enough
just,
room there?
yes, I do. I was just looking at the computer. It just needs to be enlarged.
It was working a minute ago,
Then Charlie went down.
and then I touched it, and that was the end of that.
That's how I feel about Legos. Touch Legos, they break instantly. My son, what'd you do, Mom?
Just don't step on them.
Oh, yeah.
Did everyone get the fishing,
You got a good
Spam
fishing. I got
email.
a spam one
Yeah.
today,
Well,
yeah.
what is that about?
oh, you have, click here to renew your email account at Northfield.
that's not the one I got. I got a different one.
US.
Well, I haven't had any marriage proposals.
Charlie.
I would like you to
Oh,
forward the
Charlie.
one you have. Cause I'm very jealous.
But I've got the riches, and
Oh,
I'm,
we get those every so often.
right. Hate the delete button, I'm afraid to forward those things, because somebody could accidentally click on it, and that would be a mess. Did anybody see the, speech by Canadian President,
I
whatever it is?
did not.
I read it.
I read.
It was powerful. That was fun, and then of course Trump got on there and he spoke ridiculousness.
Was this on Davos?
Yeah.
Well, you never, Trump never made it, did he, right? His plane suddenly had problems?
No, he
No, they
made,
made it, but it was 3 hours late, that's what I heard.
Or I thought he had to
he
go
spoke
back.
for an hour about the wonderfulness of the economy and how
Right.
the rest of the world wouldn't survive if it wasn't for America.
Well, if it wasn't for him.
Anyway, right, yeah.
So lucky.
Uh-huh.
One minute. 1 minute for Mary.
Yeah, she's usually here.
I know.
Or just drove up.
There we go. Look at that.
Okay.
We're gonna start calling her photo finish Mary.
Back in the days when we had, you know, the municipal, the packets, the paper packets that
Well, we still do.
We still
Oh, you do?
get paper packets, yeah.
Okay. Well, we discontinued them for electronic packets at some point, but we had paper packets, they got delivered by the police on Friday nights to everyone's home, and
Yeah.
then, you know, they bring them to the meetings on Wednesday. And we had one council member, this was back in the 90s, she would show up almost every meeting late,
No, I
and she'd
know.
have her paper, her packet, and she'd rip it open at her desk,
Oh,
pulling the stuff out. So, you know, because they were sealed, they weren't even
Not
just closed, they
prepared,
were
not prepared.
taped, sealed. Rip it open, pull out her thing, and then like, guaranteed an hour later into the meeting, she goes, I haven't heard anything about this. You know, this is the first I've heard about this. And fortunately, other council members would be like,
pounce.
you know, because I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this? right?
Well, I had fun with that.
Well, I mean, I would try to be diplomatic, but they wouldn't be. They would just be like, it was in the packet that you opened tonight. And, well, you know, I was busy, I didn't, you know, every meeting. It's like, you
Yeah,
know,
Mary.
Hey, Mary.
Mary.
hi, Mary.
Hi, Mary. Hi. Hi. Well, come over in here and sit by my friend John.
All right. Yes, as soon as she gets settled, we can get going.
Well, we'll let her get,
Let you do whatever you need to do officially.
Well, do all that hello, who everybody is and all that, if you wanna do that while I take my coat off.
all right. We'll call the January 21st special select board meeting to order, roll call. All board members are here, along with Bill Fraser from the Vermont League of Cities and Towns, and our standard attendee
Our
Alright.
stalwart, yes.
Stalwart, and of course, our town manager.
And some online
Few people
attendees.
online.
Yeah.
Good. Sue, say welcome everybody online. So, I'll just turn it over to Bill Fraser.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Good to see everybody. Feeling like a regular at these meetings. Glad to get Steve going. I'm glad you got an interim police chief. So 2 boxes checked off. Now we got the last one. Hi, Kevin.
Hello, everybody.
Hi,
Hello.
Kevin.
Nice
Do you
to see
see
you.
No, I just needed to drop off something.
Okay, yeah,
So,
good. Thank you.
nice seeing everybody.
Have you all met?
No.
I
Kevin,
have.
Kevin,
Kevin, come back.
I'm coming.
yeah.
Ladies
So
and
this is
gentlemen.
your interim, police chief,
How you doing?
Kevin
I'm
Molden?
Kevin Molden.
Yeah, right here.
Mary, we've
I
met
met
a
you.
couple times. We've known each other. How you doing, Kevin Molden?
John Stevens. Dave Maxwell.
Kevin Molden.
Nice.
Hi, Bill Fraser.
Never met you before, sir.
We met in Norway, Kevin.
How you doing, Kevin? Nice to meet you.
Yep.
Good time.
Thanks.
And Charlie, you know Charlie?
Yeah, we met the other day.
Okay.
Great. Well, I'll
Thanks
let
for
you
being
get
here.
back to
All right.
it. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being
I'm
here.
sure Bill can tell you all kinds of war stories about me. So
He's
my
one of
boss
the
for a
greats.
lot of years.
He's
So.
one of
You're
the
here,
greats.
you're here in spite of those.
Best collective bargaining session ever.
That's right. Just came in and said, let's do this.
Yeah, we had all these round and round and round with the negotiators and all this stuff, and they had a kind of a crazy guy that was negotiating.
Yeah.
And he just walks into my office and said, "We're gonna finish this right now."
Get it done.
We got 5 minutes or so,
Yeah,
7 minutes, it was
It
done.
was great. That's how they all should be.
See, I hope
Mary,
our-
we've
I
experienced
hope our
that.
ambulance
Thank you.
negotiations go
Sorry
the
to
same
interrupt.
way.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's all good, man.
Yeah, he's great, that worked out.
Remember that?
Yeah,
Yeah. So,
I'm hoping for a repeat.
yeah. So, this is what we call a kickoff meeting, and this is really, just to explain the process, and we're gonna go through the schedule a little bit. So today, you gotta make a bunch of decisions, basically. We're gonna talk about pay, we're gonna talk about certain requirements, we're gonna talk about where you wanna advertise, how we wanna run the process, all the sort of nuts and bolts of what's gonna happen next. We'll take a quick, you all, 100% response on your surveys, thank you for that, that's really helpful. I summarized them for you. We don't have to spend a lot of time, those will get turned, but if there's something you want to emphasize, we'll talk about them briefly if we have time. But that will be what gets turned into the brochure. So after today, we take all the information, take the information that you gave me, create an ad in the brochure, have a mock-up done with it. So that takes a week and a half or so to get that all done. And then we'll send it, we'll talk about how that gets approved. You can either do it as a full board, you can designate your chair or somebody to do it. You know, every board does it a little differently. But, and as soon as we get the okay, then we can launch the ad and so I'm just gotta get them a week, you know, and put a specific day.
What's the matter with it?
So that's what we're trying to accomplish today. So my goal is to leave here with a bunch of decisions.
No, I think it needs
That
to
I can then run the process.
come forward a little bit.
And
The owl
Yeah.
will adjust, but we can't see when it's tilted way back.
Like that?
Yeah.
Sorry, Bill.
no, it's okay. I am technology. It's great when it works.
Yeah.
So my goal is to leave here today with a bunch of decisions made. You know, we scheduled this for 3 hours. They've been running about 2. You know, I've been doing this with a couple of communities, but the faster you make decisions, the faster we can get out of here. But I also don't want to rush it. This is really when we set the tone for this process and what you want. So we'll try to spend upfront time on those key things. So, jumping right in, we want to talk about your next town manager. You listed some things in here. You talked about, you know, in your responses, the types of things that you felt were important for a manager. But I wanted to know if you know, if there's anything specifically you wanted to highlight that you're looking for. So we're going to break this up into 3 categories. One is personal traits. One is technical skills, professional skills, and the third would be specific experience and qualifications that you're looking for. And then how much we're willing to pay for all of that. For the person that walks on water, makes chocolate rivers, and does all that. So,
Let me just, you know, I'm sitting here just because I'm interested in the process and kind of interested just how it's going. I won't stay for 3 hours, but if you're not comfortable with me in here, I'm
It'd be a conflict of interest for when you apply for the full-time jobs. I'll talk to my agent about that.
Sorry for my
So
lean
if you're
over.
okay with me here, I'll stay for an hour, if not.
I'm very happy to have you
Stay
here.
as long as you wanna.
Yeah. Well, I got another virtual meeting at 4, so I'll just jump out for that.
If you
Okay.
have the document with the summaries, number 9 is where you kind of laid out your group of things for qualities, skills, and what would be a fourth fit. But this is also an opportunity to freelance it a little bit and try to come to some zeitgeist about how what you'd like to see. It can be in any order, throw them out, I'll sort them later, so just things you want, I get it. All right, why don't we start with the actual, yeah, let's start with personal traits, I think those are very important, 'cause, is there anything different than what you have here, or anything you want that's a higher priority? I've certainly heard over and over again, transparency, communication.
Yeah. I think I'm not sure the right descriptiveness is that balance of assertiveness that's not aggressive, like that can make decisions, can be direct when needed, but balanced with a friendliness and warmth and that sort of, I think we've liked having
Discretion.
people that have an open door kind of policy and are welcoming and inviting. But indecision and lack of follow through have been.
Hey, just clone Steve. There you go.
All right,
Well, Charlie, I know you've had a long time to work with him, but some of us are just getting to know him.
Yeah, that may change in 3 or 4 weeks, so.
I would say an effective communicator is number 1 in my book. A proven leader, that they've led an organization or a municipality.
so I'm gonna ask you a question, I think I know the answer, but I'm gonna ask it for everyone here. And this comes up a lot in our profession, when we say an effective communicator, do you mean someone who's gonna tell you the bad news too?
Correct.
Because some boards don't like hearing the bad news.
No, you gotta
Do
have,
they admit
I think
it?
that's also what I meant a little with the assertive,
Exactly.
like,
yeah.
Yeah, so you've got honesty, integrity, and accountability.
Right. And if someone makes a mistake, they own it and they
Right.
share it,
Right.
they don't,
And
and that's okay.
that's the best way to deal with it.
Right.
Let me find somebody that doesn't make mistakes, we won't be able to afford them.
Right. I don't disagree with any of that, it's just good to say those things out loud as a group and for those that are watching.
Yeah, I think this is a solid group that
Yeah.
wants to hear the bad and the good.
Yep, great. Anything else you wanna just emphasize while we're here?
Yeah, I think effective leadership, effective communicator, a proven leader with proven leading an organization, be it municipal, be it whatever.
So we can always come back to any of this, so.
I wanted to add something.
Sure.
And this question was really difficult for me because I wanted to just say, not this, not this, not this, not that.
Well, we had that.
And it was hard for me. But one of the things that I really think we need to have is somebody who will say to a contractor, this isn't quite what I had in mind. And I don't want somebody who says, I will say that. I want somebody who has a demonstrated record of having said that. And as Steve knows, there's a way to do that without, I just talked to Tim, who's retired from, and he was he said, you have to get with people, suppliers and other people, and you have to tell them, well, this wasn't quite what we had in mind, could we have it a different way? Because we've had to pay money back because of screw-ups, and they were all traceable to a contractor, and we need somebody who can stand up to contractors and other people and say, this isn't quite what we had in mind. And I don't Yeah, and I said already, I want demonstration, I don't want somebody who
So
just tells me
proven
that.
project manager,
Proven,
successful
proven management, and that means especially
projects.
when things are rough.
Who is not conflict averse.
Yes,
So-
that was the word, but I didn't wanna say not.
So let me give you a little, here's a coaching moment. Because we all do this, I'm as guilty as everybody. Like, I wish I could say I wasn't. But I had a person tell me this 25 years ago in very simple language, and it really stuck with me. And they said, so Bill, if you have an employee who's habitually late, like really late, every day,
Yeah.
and they're causing a problem, and so you get rid of them, or they leave. So it's human nature that the one thing you're gonna want in that next employee is that they are early, right? He said, but it may be, it's okay if they're a little bit late, as long as they can still do the job. You know, unless it's a job that, you know, but the point is
Just
that, the
go-
point is
You're
you
not gonna
tend to,
get the perfect candidate.
right, the point is you tend to want, you find all the things that you didn't like about the prior candidate and you want those to be perfect, but there may be other more important things.
Yeah.
So it's just important, it's human nature to push back and say, well, these are the things we were dissatisfied with. And that's okay. It's good to say them, it's good to get them out. And we're human and we're only gonna have a sphere. So just kinda, we'll just think about that. So I actually appreciated you saying, I don't wanna say not.
Yeah, I
talk
don't
about
wanna
they are.
say not, but we've had a bad experience
Got
here.
it.
And there's an old adage that goes, once burned, twice careful.
Yep, exactly. And it's fair to call that out. Anything else on sort of personal qualities, traits, whatever?
You know, that being able to, that goes for us too, being able to say, you know, I think we have a difference of opinion here, I see it this way, you know, whatever.
It's communication.
Yeah, but, yeah, you're right, it has to be
Part of the
both.
problem, easy on the people, or agree, what does they say, disagree agreeably? So, okay. Well, we can circle back to that, but since we're moving right along, now let's talk about specific technical skills. And, you know, those are different from personal skills. I mean, project management maybe falls into either one. But when you're in local government management, and Steve will back into this, you know, we're involved in everything. You know, whether it's finance and budgeting, projects, economic development, personnel, labor negotiations, community relations, communicate, all sorts of things. We have to sort of check a lot of boxes. It's natural, some people are just gonna be better at some of those things. A good competent manager will be able to do all of them, but they're gonna have some areas that they're stronger than others. So I guess I'm asking, if you were looking for someone, what are the ones you'd want to, and it doesn't mean the others aren't important, but if you had the top 2 or 3, what would be the ones that you would want your manager to be best at?
Then he's been able to pass understand and pass an audit. So
Financial skills then? Financials?
that would be financial. We have we're changing, the finance director, that's going to be new, and the candidate, I don't even know who the candidates are. But they're going to have to, the new manager is going to have to absorb some responsibilities until the new finance director, who's been here for 34 years, now 35, because her contract was extended, is flawless. She is. So, we've lost that. We're going to lose that. So, I would hedge that someone who understands what an audit is and has been exposed to I don't even know what you call this, it's not a forensic audit, but it has managed the audits.
The annual audit.
Municipal
Right.
audit, yeah.
Okay. Finance then, anyone disagree that finance should be one of the top skills? Okay,
That's what we care about,
Really?
the end.
you know, I mean, well, it's true, every organization, finance is important, for sure.
So I think what this sort of dovetails into what Mary was trying to say, a proven negotiator, a good negotiator, because there's a lot of negotiations that happen on many levels. I can think of 5 immediately, but I would say a proven negotiator.
I'd like to see somebody that's good at taking all the planning we've done into implementation. Because we've done a lot of planning and there's a number of significant projects that could move forward.
And are they not moving, in your opinion, are they not moving forward because of management or because of funding or boards or town
It's a
meeting votes?
combination of things, like the water sewer extension is one that's like largely a cost.
And a simple
But-
one was the line striping of a road that we had a grant funding.
Right,
for.
We had to
those are
give the money
tinier
back.
things,
We had
but,
to give them money. Yeah.
but thinking like bigger picture while taking those steps towards, because we have dozens of plans we've done.
Mhm.
I think that's something we've done well. We've got a lot of great planning documents to work from.
So an implementer.
Right.
Yeah, somebody,
Right. And I.
So
that might
project
involve
management.
project
I'd offer,
management as
well, I would
well,
offer
like-
with that is that a good manager in that position would be working, that one falls partly on you folks, because you have to support those, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's, Steve or I could say, well, we're gonna build that new park, or we're gonna expand this, but there's needs to be a buy-in that it's gonna happen, and, we've all been there, right? The plan was done 5 years ago, and now there's people that don't like it, and they never heard about it. So how do, when you build your annual goals and priorities or strategic plan, like how are we going to move these forward? What steps are we,
So we do that.
Calling myself the manager now, like, the 6 of us, what are we gonna do to move this plan forward? And I think that's just, so you're saying you want someone who's gonna take leadership with those kind of pushing plans forward. Great.
The most valuable asset, so for the select board, the most concerning process, I think, for us is the financial health of the community. The second one for the manager is your most valuable asset as manager are your people. And so, you can audit numbers and you can accept that, but having the ability to take care of your people. So people, what trait? People management skills.
That's exactly what it is.
That's
That's
exactly
it.
what it is.
Yeah, I'd put that one up there with the finance.
100%. In fact, yeah, equal.
Well, then that's, like you say, that's the biggest part of your finances is your people.
Right.
Look at what you're spending money on. Yeah, great. Yeah, actually, it was involved with ICMA, the HR person was called the chief people officer. Just to,
Right?
just to try to emphasize that that's what it was about, it wasn't some sort of technical function. Okay, anything else we wanna add for technical skills or?
But you should know, Bill, that the rest of the departments, that we're rebuilding the police department, and that's gonna be a long-term process, and we're
Yeah,
going
good
to
stuff.
do the best we can. But our utilities infrastructure is really solid. We've got a good crew there, and somewhere is the candidate, if there's a brochure, you can include that the utility department is well managed. We have, water, sewer, electric, and no telecommunications, so we can knock that out. But that would be a selling point. If I was weak on reading a engineering schematic, you don't have to worry about that. Our folks are dialed in on that.
Plus, we have sources if those folks for some
Right.
reason aren't around.
Right,
That's my biggest concern. We have a great commissioners with lots of knowledge. But if they tend to go away, which Northfield has always been blessed with somebody from the community to have that.
right.
So that is my big concern, is we don't wanna lose it, but we also wanna be in a position, if we do lose that strength. and
One of
we've got
the-
somebody.
One of the staff in their survey called out aging staff, that you're gonna be losing a lot of people in the
100%.
next few years, and sort of building that bench or, having planning for that.
That was the succession plan that we
Succession.
asked for.
And,
There's an envelope in the desk over there, a succession plan, guess how many pages are in it? None.
one of the things that's really hard in a town this size with succession planning is you don't have you don't have deputies in
Exactly.
every department, you don't have
Yeah.
assistant town manager, right? It's not like,
There's a lot of
we at least in
situations
Montpelier
there's one
had,
person
of course,
with-
that was our deputy chief that you just had, but, we had people in every, kind of would be working on the successor
Yeah.
person
Yeah.
in every department. So it is trickier, but at least knowing when people might be leaving and what kind of traits you're
Well,
looking for.
that's what we were trying to establish
Right,
when we
so
asked for that.
that's important.
It is.
Okay, so we've talked about the skills. I think you talked about, I don't want to repeat everything you said, but clear finances, good people skills, ability to manage, negotiate, implement plans, those kind of things, and then a forward-looking person sounds, the kinds of things. Are there specific qualifications? A few of you have mentioned proven leader, proven this, so I'm guessing you want experience.
Experience.
Well, they don't necessarily have, I'm gonna speak out of turn here, as a kind of a renegade, they don't have to necessarily be, as former town manager from some other town. But they could be a project manager with a lot of success at a corporation. Like, I think we caught an engineer who went to a town and then went to work. I mean, these things happen. You can have a smart person with transferable skills.
100%.
Yeah,
I'd love to have somebody with municipal experience if possible, but
They are different
But
animals, I mean, Steve can tell you that, and he bridged the gap, not to speak for you, Steve, but by being on the city council. So he got,
well, yeah.
I thought I knew what a city manager did before I became city manager. I thought I didn't have a clue.
I think that that's true for any job. It is,
so we could say municipal experience preferred, but also looking for,
Yeah, don't be afraid.
I'm open to others, but I personally would prefer somebody that's had
I
some
remember,
amount of municipal
turn of the
experience.
century, some clown came into Northfield to be the town manager and never had been a manager of anything.
But you had managed a submarine.
Yeah, but
Well, all right
I had a
then.
military
Significant
discipline, and at the time, military
local
discipline
knowledge.
was of value. 'Cause we had
Yes.
to get rid of the police department, but that was, so you can find candidates.
Certainly you can, I believe that.
Yeah.
I believe that wholeheartedly.
but you want someone with experience, not necessarily right out of school or
Yeah,
first
yeah,
job,
yeah.
that kind of thing.
No,
I think
no.
our operation is a little bit above that.
I agree, I'm
Yeah.
just restating.
Yeah.
I think we've talked a little bit about this before, I don't know where others feel. I don't think it should be a requirement that they live here, but maybe somebody that's open to it would be slightly preferred, or
Yeah.
I don't know how others feel. I understand why people don't always wanna live in the town that they manage, but it's also a different level of investment.
It's a lifestyle, you're dealing with a high-density area, you're dealing with, the pucker brush, and and you have to be available. And it's nice to be able to dial somebody with a 485 exchange number and get a voice.
I definitely wouldn't say it would be a requirement,
No,
but
you can't. don't
I
think-
would be afraid of putting that, I don't know how you would word that. so-
Preferred, local.
Preferred. So this is a very common, this comes up every recruitment. And so you will reduce your applicant pool if you require residency.
Correct.
Right.
Just because,
That I don't wanna do.
and
No,
so
I'm
I
not
think,
suggesting that.
I think it's, if you got the ideal manager and they lived in Berlin,
Well, we'd be happy.
right, but, I think on the other hand, if they're moving from another state, what we did in Montpelier, we actually had a thing about department heads too. If someone, like when we hired Chief Nordenson, he lives in Berlin, he was already our deputy, like, I wasn't gonna make a move just to, but when we hired Brian Pete, who came from New Mexico, I was like, Brian, I'd like you to live in Montpelier, and, I said, and housing's hard, that's the other piece.
right, and if you
So
can't.
make a good effort. And he did, he found a house, but you know, I think that if someone, so I think that's an approach you can take. The pros and cons, you know, if you live in town, I did, and I think, you know, Steve did, I mean, it's nice, I pay the same taxes, I drive the same roads, my kids go to the same schools, you know, I shop at the same stores. The downside of that, of course, is
The
you
same
do all
list.
those things, and there's no escape, and
Yes.
it can be really overwhelming.
Yes.
But there's so many factors to, you know, two working families, so you can have somebody, you know, you live in between.
Yeah.
The cost of moving, the cost of changing. And I'll say this, and this is a hard one to hear, but I think it's worth thinking about. And that is boards, communities, not just Northfield, everywhere. We want our manager to become fully invested. You know, we want them to show they care. We want them to live here and care right up until we want to fire them.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then,
right.
and then nobody says, but you know, they lived here, so, you know, we should, you know, they've been a real active part, they coached Little League, they've done all these things. Nobody cares at that point.
Yeah.
It's just like, well, you know, it's time to change the manager. I mean, this is a business transaction, this is a career, you know, and unfortunately, in this business, there's no promotion, right? Unless you got lucky, well, Steve was from Barry, I moved to a place I happened to fall in love with, in that it was just interesting enough and challenging enough, and my kids grew up there, and it was a good match, so I stayed for 30 years. But otherwise, I would have moved to someplace bigger. We would have moved on to another job and advanced. That's how you advance in this profession. And so I think if you want the best candidate, that should be the number one goal. If they choose to live here, and you can certainly say, we'd love that, and, you know,
Yeah.
what if someone says, I'll live here if you pay me an extra 20 grand? Right? So, at what point,
Yeah.
I'm not suggesting that'll happen.
Right.
But for you to be thinking about what value are we really gonna put on this? And what housing is there available? So, so I think
Yeah, although Northfield tends
residency,
better
you know,
than other
desired but not
surrounding
required, or
areas.
preferred but not required is good.
Yeah.
I'm glad that was on my list to talk about. Academics, I assume we want at least a bachelor's degree.
This is a very highly educated town. This is a
I don't
college
know.
town.
Well, I mean, obviously, the standard for most of these is an MPA, Masters of Public
Yeah,
Administration,
sure.
but
I
not
always
always.
like something with, coming from a household with people of varying degree levels, like experience. I don't like to eliminate people based on degrees
I agree.
if they have a resume with experience that would back it up. So I don't know how to word that.
We could
You
just
could
say,
just say, or commensurate
right,
experience. Like,
That's
you
how you
know,
word it.
many years
If-
of.
how you word it.
And I second it.
If we have
Blankety blank preferred, but
two things side by side, I'd rather have an educated person than a person who lives in my town.
Well, yeah,
So, I mean,
And I'd
you
rather have
said,
someone that knows what they're doing than have.
Yeah.
yep,
yeah.
Yeah, I agree, there are people that work, you know, people that have high school education work their way up and they run things, I'm with you, but
Exactly.
on the other hand, you're also saying this is kind of a level we want people, but I think you're
Yes.
saying this is part of it's where you're positioning yourselves, is
I
how,
would love to have the conversation with somebody that doesn't have a degree as in management or accounting and say, what makes you think you're qualified? Because they're gonna have to answer the question.
Yep.
And it could be very easy, you know, I've got 20 years of experience doing a large corporate business.
that's why I said what I said at the very beginning.
No, I think it's good.
yeah, I mean, before we had kids, you know, my wife had a degree in Spanish, got a job working at a bank in the Spanish-speaking part of Boston as a teller or whatever, just because she could speak Spanish. Ended up going into banking, became a bank manager.
Yeah.
But, you know, and then we had kids and she stopped doing it. But it's like, so, right, her degree, what makes you think you could do banking? Well, because I've been doing banking, but I haven't.
Exactly.
I say a degree, because it's a college town.
Yeah,
I'm more interested in experience and proven results,
Yep, okay,
not what's on your,
that's fine.
Onion the skin?
yeah, exactly, I couldn't think of that word.
That sounds good. Those are good answers.
Lambskin, actually.
All right, so
Onion
now
skin.
we've got this highly educated but practically experienced person who can do all of these things and really wants this job. How much are we paying him?
Yeah, nothing.
buck
We're gonna
30?
put a range,
Range is usually the best.
yes,
'Cause
so
they-
we have some flexibility to negotiate and based on their experience. I mean, I think a low end is like 110, 115, somewhere in there.
I was thinking the same number,
That's the low,
yeah.
Yeah.
that's not where,
And the high end would be what, 135?
somewhere around there.
So I can tell you that I'm doing the same exact
140.
process with Rockingham, Bellows Falls.
Yeah.
And they're going out at 130 to 140.
Okay.
But what is the,
Well,
My
what
one
one
is,
is hired at 160.
what is, we have to
140.
look, yeah.
How
okay.
big, does it matter how
It's
big the
whatever you
range
want.
is? I mean, cause
Whatever
I
you-
think giving
you s-
ourselves.
I'm just
'cause
trying to get you know that.
I know that unfortunately, sometimes the candidate pool is not what we dream of.
Right,
And I don't wanna have it listed too high so that we can't offer something lower if we have to go with a candidate that doesn't have as many
That's a good
qualifications.
point.
How do you identify the
Okay.
spread?
I would just say, whatever, let's just say it was 120 to 140. You can say 120 to 40 commensurate with skills and experience and whatever. And, you know, I think if you had a candidate who was on the low end of that, you know, you say, yeah.
We're starting you here because.
We're starting
of
you here
your-
because, and
And
here's,
experience
and,
and,
you know, maybe you build
can
in,
grow.
when, if you do a contract with them, if you stay for 5 years, we'll build a bump in, or, you know, whatever, those kind of things, you know.
Rockingham has got rid of their electric department, right?
I don't know about that, but they also are a village and a town. I'm just giving you an example of
Yeah.
someone who's about 4,000, who's about to
Yeah,
go
they're,
out.
they're similar.
Yeah, I mean,
Know where
there's
one
never a
is gonna
perfect
land.
thing, but that just.
Are
that's where
they,
they
are they, this is
Newport's going out at around 130.
a very strange town. It
maybe
has a
120 to
disparate,
140?
it has a lot of poor people
120
in
to
this
1.
town, and there's a few rich people in this
Yeah.
town. I don't know what Rockingham's economic profile is.
Yeah, I mean, I think, so there's the question of that, and there's a question of, I mean, at this point, you're putting in a pay to attract a candidate. That's-
Exactly, and it's
and-
really irrelevant on the tax rate.
Yeah.
I mean,
Is it?
'cause it's, oh, it is, it's 100 and whatever it is, 140,000,
And
so
they-
what's
but
that?
really you're talking about-
That's pennies on the tax
You're
rate.
really talking about the difference between 10 or 20,000.
Right.
It's not the 100,
Right.
you're gonna pay
Let's not
120,
waste our time.
so you're talking about, so
But
whatever.
I do think we gotta be competitive, and I think 120 to 140 is competitive.
Okay. Okay.
Happy with that range?
No, I'm cool with that.
I'm just making
Yeah.
sure, you're not really voting, so
No
this is a big
objections.
one, so I wanna make sure we get that one right. That is really,
That seems within the ballpark
Yep.
of this
100%.
list.
absolutely is, yeah.
We often seem here, we try to be middle.
Yep.
But this, I think this also is like, we really wanna attract
Right,
somebody.
and it's a very
We wanna be
competitive
competitive.
atmosphere
We
right
wanna
there.
be
Right,
competitive
yeah,
with
it's the other
this.
thing, there's, you know.
So-
You
I mean,
really
just-
gotta make a statement.
Just in Vermont, we've got, well, Charlotte's not really here, but you've got Rockingham, Windsor's going out, I think they're up to 160. Newport's going out around 130, you're going out, all at about the same time.
Waterbury's going out.
Waterbury's gonna be coming out, they were at
Yes.
125. I don't know whether they'll advertise it, but that's what the manager was making there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a lot out there right now, so it will be competitive, for sure.
But
But I
there's
think
no
you're,
better place to work than in Northfield.
okay, I'll put that in the brochure.
Just let them know.
Charlie Moore says there's no better place to work than North.
I vehemently veto that motion.
3 hours from Boston or Montreal, come on. You got
We are the
You got
center.
an old New England
Very
college in
center.
20
here.
minutes to Montpelier. I mean,
12
You know,
minutes.
it's what,
Montpelier.
actually, the number of people that move to Northfield because they
Because-
cannot afford to live in Montpelier, it's a significant.
You're looking at one right here.
Yes, it
There's
is
a lot of
28 years ago, Mr. Manager.
significant number of people that land here.
It's less affordable now than it was then, too.
Alright.
I couldn't have, anyway. Okay, so we settled that one, beautiful, that is a big one. All right, let's move on to the process then, you guys, I love the way you guys make decisions, this is good, we're gonna be out here in no time. So, these are also really important because they will have involved with the timing and everything else, so we're gonna go right down through these. Search committee. Do you want to have an independent search committee besides yourselves? And if
We
so,
should.
how do you want to structure that?
I would like to involve, independent, no, I would like to involve members of the community as part of the process. Not a lot. You can get bogged down by having too many faces. How do you guys wanna focus, do you wanna have a committee do this?
We can get bogged down by too many faces, but also one or two community members aren't very representative necessarily either, so it's
Right.
tricky.
So there's everything, so, you know, the range goes from the boards do it all themselves, they're like, this is our decision, we get hired, to, they create a citizens committee from whatever walks of life they want, and they say, bring us 3 finalists, and they don't see anything until the finalists come. And everything in between that you can imagine. I think, I've been suggesting is a good kind of compromise to that is, if you get to 2 or 3 finalists, then you have a group of residents, you know, maybe someone from Norwood, someone from, you know, you pick constituencies within the community. You're never gonna get everybody. And maybe someone who's a rabble rouser, you know, someone who's, you know, not your best friend here in this office, right? Get someone who's got a bone to pick, like, give them a stake. But you have 6 or 7 people. And when we have the finalists coming here, they do an interview with the finalists, I would sit in with them. And then, you know, maybe the staff team does an interview with them, and then you do. And then they provide you, they say, you know, they see, and, I mean, it would be multiple days, we wouldn't have them all in on the same day.
Right.
Although some places do that, I don't like that. But, and then they say, okay, we liked, you know, Steve, and here's why. That group, and you've got that input, you don't have to take it, but you at least, they were involved and they had a say, and they got to see how tough your decision was.
Yeah.
And more often than not, when I've done that, it all comes out the same, everyone picked the same candidate.
Yeah.
And then there's some buy-in.
I like your, staff interview. That is, I had never considered that.
Well, they've got a
Yeah.
huge stake in this, and they
Yeah.
have to be
Right.
involved.
I definitely want to do that, and I think I like what you're describing, because I definitely know, and we have heard from some community members, a strong desire for some level of community involvement. I feel like it's important to find a way to
Well,
have.
the last manager, we had a committee, and we had representation from the select board on that committee. So we had an eyes and ears.
But did they decided without the full board? Because I definitely
No,
think, okay,
they did not decide.
yep,
What Bill was portraying, I think they brought it down to 4 candidates.
what I liked about Bill's was that they're actually not involved in the early process for efficiency purposes, so that we get through that first round, and then we bring in the involvement for the finalists. That's what you were suggesting?
Yeah, again, quality and results wise, there's, you know, it's really what the community wants to do. It adds time.
That's what.
And that's fine if, you know, if you're not worried about that. It's
We are
just,
worried about
it's organizing more people, it's getting them together to
Yeah.
make the rank. Now,
So-
we'll get into how the rankings will work, but that, and I'm here to help them with that. But it's still, none of this is my decision, this
I
is your
pulled
process.
the old rankings out today to brush my
Yeah.
memory.
Well, I have a very, very sophisticated system I'm gonna describe to you later. So it's really all good, however you wanna do it.
So
The
who
other
does
piece-
the initial
We'll
calling?
get to that. in a minute.
Okay.
Let's just stick on this for a second. So, but just arranging people for meetings, all that kind of stuff. The other piece to remember too, and we're gonna talk about this in the next, actually, this is kind of going into the public involvement piece, is, you know, there's a degree of confidentiality involved.
Right.
And the more people
Right.
that you put it into,
Yeah.
you know, just every single person is a potential leak. And so, so you just weigh that. It's not good or bad, but, you know, I know we might take other people as well. But even if you're working for a private business, right, if it gets out that you're looking for a job, that could not necessarily be good for you.
Correct.
And certainly in our business, you know, we all talked about people want a commitment. If you know,
Yeah.
Steve or I were in our old jobs and suddenly it's in the paper that we're finalists in Northfield, you know, we're gonna have questions to answer with our council, and one of us isn't gonna get the job, and so now we're going back to our old job, like, well, you know, I was just checking it out.
It's happening, it's happening.
Yeah, it does, it happens all the time, and so one of the public involvement pieces, a lot of places like this, bring the 2 or 3 finalists, have some kind of public forum or question and answer period. I'm not a proponent of that for that reason. I think that you will again lose applicants if they think that's what's gonna happen to them. And I have an obligation to tell them at the beginning of the process that this is what awaits you at the end. And some applicants will see that and say, I think I'd be really qualified for that job, and I think I'd end up as a finalist, and I'm not sure I wanna get charted around Northfield in public, because I'm really happy in, you know, Waterbury or wherever I am, right? I don't wanna risk that.
We've had some offers for people to participate, and two of them are pretty solid and have the dignity to keep their discussions.
You know, I've found that when I've asked people to be on those kind of committees, again, I'm not an elected official, but when I would do this like with police chief hires and others, and I had a pretty excited, you might have done that too. When I sat people down and said, these are the consequences, even when I purposely brought in some agitators, because I wanted their opinion, they got it, they understood, you know, I mean, you know, if you're someone you know to be completely unreliable, then I wouldn't put them on. But if there's someone who's, you know, wants the best for the community, maybe has a different opinion, different perspective, you know, you would decide who that would be. Again, I think, you know, I guess I don't want to push my answer. You guys should know what you want.
Well, it sounds to me like you're very persuasive when you tell them, so maybe you should tell them.
I would do that, actually.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have been approached by several people to be on the search committee.
Well, if you want, again, this is your hire, however you want to structure it, I will.
If we're
help make
going
it
to
work.
have a search committee, then I do not feel super comfortable with just like people that we haven't advertised or identified what type of representation we're looking for, just coming to individual board members. That it's not what we're talking about, it's just
Right.
if you can't, right, we're not saying
No,
because you spoke to
you
Charlie
put
or
it out
John,
there.
you're on the search committee, no.
You would have a committee to establish a committee.
Oh, that
You
sounds
would.
like
I mean,
municipal
that's-
government, doesn't
right?
it?
You
Well,
would, Bill would give us the language and we put it out
You
there.
would, well, again, how you structure it is your own, like you could say, well, I don't know Northfield well enough, so I'll just play my feelings. Like, we would say, okay, we'd like someone from National Life, we'd like someone from the state, we'd like someone from our downtown association, you know, business owner, we'd like a resident, we'd like, you know, maybe someone from one of our committees, the chair of one of our, you know, we would pick the stakeholders that we wanted, and then we would put out an ad for soliciting people. We would also reach out to those groups and say, could you please, you know, we might have 3 at-large seats that people can apply for, and then say, we'd like this group to designate someone to represent them. And so we might have 7 people, or something, you know, 4 that came from designated groups and 3 at large, and then the council would just pick who was on, and then they would say, oh, well, 12 people applied, so let's just put them all on, and then you'd have an enrollment. But that's,
No. And that too, the size of this group, I think, is dependent on whether we're choosing to have them be involved in the whole process or in a narrower part of the process. Cause it sounds like we could have a larger group if it's for the finalist interviews. But if they're gonna be doing every interview, we might want to keep it pretty small.
So starting with select board responsibilities, there's going to be a select board member on this committee, or 2, I presume. Do we all get through that, right?
Well, that's how we did it with the
No.
police.
We're not gonna have a select board member on this
I think
search
it
committee.
depends on what we're assigning, what the responsibility of the committee is. Because
agree
like
with
the
that.
times we've done, like for the economic development director, the committee basically did all the work and it had 2 select board members and got it to a final recommendation that the manager then chose.
That's how the police chief went.
Yeah, so that's how we've done it with some other search committees. In this case, I personally wanna make sure we all get to weigh in on several finalists, not just a one recommendation.
I think he described like a 2-stage rocket, and stage 1 was this committee with at-large members and blah, 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 and then stage 2 was us.
so I think, again, that's how you choose, so I'm gonna jump ahead, because I'm gonna answer David's earlier question, because it might be helpful. So one of the services you buy from me is I'll get all the applications and I score them. And my scoring, like I said, is highly sophisticated. It's yes, maybe, or no.
I knew you were gonna
And
say something.
So
Better
it's,
write that down.
yeah. So, well, it's a different, I'll send you the matrix.
Okay.
Okay, because it's,
Is it patented?
yeah, no. Well, if I was a true consultant, I'd say, well, there's tier 1 and tier 2 and tier 3, but basically.
No,
you know,
thanks,
The,
save
the
us.
yes is the people that really click most of these boxes, and, we think, okay, they look like they could do it. The
So we
babies,
had VLCT the last time around,
Okay.
so they provided the same.
yeah, and so, well, okay, I didn't know, I don't
Yeah.
know that this is a VLCT system, but anyway, then there's.
No, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
it's somewhat like that.
Right, and then there's the folks that just, yeah, no, but you'll get them all.
Right.
And the reason for that is, first of all, you should get them all, it's your hire, you should see everybody that applied. And second of all, I'm one person, and particularly if there's someone local, like on paper, I might say, well, they're just a maybe.
Yeah.
But you were like, oh my gosh, Dave's applying, he does everything, of course we're gonna put him, in the finals, because and vice versa, I might see someone and have them in the yeses, and you go, oh, there's no way we put Charlie in, yeah, we've dealt with Charlie. And
We love Charlie.
but, no, I'm just picking on him because you guys are sitting next to me, but,
You're not alone.
yeah. But you know what I mean, it's like you need to be able to screen that list.
That's good.
So, and you all should do that, so I think what I would propose is that, and so then if you had a committee and you wanted to give them that scored list after you'd seen it and we'd seen it, then they could, if you want them to sort through it and say, here's out of this who we'd recommend interviewing, they could. Or maybe you pick out, we sit down together and pick out who we want to have that first round, and then who conducts that first round is kind of up to you, how you wanna do that. So there's a lot of different ways to structure this, but no matter how you structure it, you will get scored applications from me.
Good. So what's the direction you need from us?
Who I give them to, and you're gonna get them for sure, but
So we need to
what do
structure
you
that
wanna
meeting.
do there? Because when I do this, we kinda need to think about, we need to decide this quickly, because we're gonna put this out and we're gonna say, here's the process we're gonna follow. So that when an applicant applies, they know what's
So I
gonna
have a
happen.
question for John. Why are you opposed to have a select board member in on that committee?
Because I think it flavors who we get
Who we get for,
for applicants.
well, cause they all know that the select board will be making the
Make the
final
final
decision,
decision. Yeah, that's the thing.
so.
Well, and are you as a select board, and I don't want this to sound loaded, but it might sound that way, I don't mean to be. Are you as a select board willing or prepared to turn that decision-making over and only take, or would you want to reserve the right to say, no, we still wanna pull Lydia out of the pile and put her in it?
I would say the select board should have that ability. If we
So
feel,
what I'm hearing,
So then the question is,
it's
I
my
prefer the
personal
search
opinion.
committee to be involved with the finalist interviews rather than the early on process is my preference, for time reasons.
I think
and,
that's probably the best approach.
so we go through the yes, no, maybe, then the board does that, and it'll be in executive session. And then now we've got however many candidates there are, and then in the queue, waiting in the queue is, this group, whether there's a board member on it or not. We then say, here is a stack of applicants, go through it with Bill, he's going to give you some training
That's not what
on it
she's
because.
that's not what Lydia's saying.
No, I'm saying they get involved with the finalist interviews when we're at 2 to 3. They're not choosing those,
Oh,
But
you're
they're
gonna narrow it
involved.
down that far.
yeah,
So
that was my thought, but.
Here's an idea, and this just came up, I give Rockingham, they came up with this idea, I hadn't thought of it, but I'll share it with you. Because they have 2 boards, and actually 3 if you count the Saxons River,
Oh my goodness.
who doesn't actually supervise the manager but works with them.
Yeah.
So we, you know, so it's like 12 people in total. We were trying to figure out how to do this, and they came up with a great idea. So they wanted the chair of all three of their boards and me to interview them on Zoom, record it, and send the recording to the other members. So everyone gets to see the interview, but the person's only, and it doesn't, it's easier to set up because nobody has to travel. And you can,
This is for the first round, you're
for
saying?
the first round.
Yeah.
And then the, you know, the second round, they're gonna do the same thing, they're gonna have a citizens committee and the staff, and you know, and then the full, all the boards, or at least two of the boards.
So Zoom it, do staff,
Well, I don't know that you need to do staff in the first round. I don't think
Okay.
you need to do that. I
Let's
think
do
they're,
it at the end.
you know.
how many candidates do you think we're gonna have?
Well, see, this is the other thing, right? This is all gonna be a fluid process. If you get 10 candidates, let's say, we could probably get down to 3 finalists really quickly.
But do we want to do that?
Or do you want to interview all 10?
No,
Or-
no, I'm saying, I wouldn't narrow it down to, I would say 4 would be the minimum that I would
whatever.
like to do.
Yeah.
Because some may drop out at the tail end, and then we either have to start the whole process over. You know, and I think we have been through this
Well-
quite recently.
I agree with that. So I guess what I'm really trying to say is, if you have a small amount, then we could go straight to a final round. However many
Yeah.
that is. If you
Yeah.
have a large amount, you know, I'm not sure where that number is, it also depends on the quality of the amount. But say you have 40 and there's 10 solid candidates.
Yep.
You know, we might wanna pick the 8 or whatever and do this first round.
So we
And
had
then say for-
26 on our last
Yeah.
search, applicants.
Yeah,
We narrowed it to 10,
yeah.
then we narrowed it to 4.
Yeah, that's kind of, right. I mean, I know they had 30 in Montpelier. And I don't know how
But this
many-
was how many years ago?
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it's a different market
It's
now.
totally different.
Yeah.
So I think if you got 26 to 30, that would be a really huge success.
Yeah,
I
but-
think 10 to 12 would be,
I think that's right. So,
Outstanding.
so we may not need 2 rounds, or we, you know, maybe just do a quick check-in. Sometimes you could do a quick and just get an impression, is this gonna be, you know, a fit or whatever, so.
Yeah,
And then go to a final round where that we then bring somebody here.
and the community based.
Right, so they come in, I would picture, say it's 4 people, like you say, then somebody drops out. So we have 3 people, we schedule 3 separate days. They come in to Northfield, someone gives them a tour, you know, a staff person, Steve or somebody, or Kevin Moulton, you know, gives them a tour of the community, and this is Norwich, and this, you know, so they can kind of see this is the highway garage, is, you know, that kind of stuff. And then they meet with, in whatever order, they meet with the staff, they meet with the citizen group, and then they meet with the full board. And then at the end of the day, either everyone gets together, you know, or a representative of the group comes in and meets with you folks, or maybe they just tell me. Maybe, you know, I'm sitting in and I say, okay, well, the top.
I think that would be the best
Yeah,
approach,
and
in
then-
my opinion.
Yeah, and then I just say, okay, well, this is who each group liked, and then after you've given your impression. And then we figure out who we want to either advance or make offers to, or wherever we're at in the process. And,
I might have missed a beat here, but when was the community involved in that?
so when we have like the 3 or 4 finalists.
Yeah.
You would have a community committee
Oh,
that
there,
would interview them.
okay. Is that before or after the tour?
Well,
at
some
the
point-
same time,
Same day,
when they're here in person.
Yeah, okay.
same day. I don't
And
know
they
what-
have to come in person for
Yes,
that?
for the finals, yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think if someone wants to be your manager and they're one of your final candidates, they need
that's
to be
true.
here.
Yeah.
You should,
Yes.
we need to
Yeah.
meet them face to face, your staff needs to meet them,
No
they need
doubt.
to see the community.
yeah, if
Yeah.
they're not willing to come here for that, then
I mean,
like.
well, and,
Remember, in
Which we've
economic
had it.
development, we
Yeah.
had that.
Yeah,
well,
we've had it
and-
before.
and to be honest, the typical thing is when they are a final candidate, we would bear the cost, we would fly them in and put them up. So it's not like, you
I
know,
know. Well,
you know, often if you have a first round and you want them to come, it's on their nickel, but now with Zoom, nobody does that anymore. But typically if you have a finalist and they're coming from out of state, you would host them.
Sure.
And so if they still don't wanna come, then that
You
makes
know
a
that
decision
they-
easy.
that makes
I
the
mean, I get,
decision
on the
very
other hand,
easy.
they could be having a baby, they could be, you
Right,
know, there
I
could
mean,
be
there's
any number of
some
other.
sort of
Special
circumstance
circumstance,
that we
yeah.
could maybe
Yeah.
Right,
talk about it, but like,
Right,
the
they would have-
expectation is.
Yes, that's right,
We
and that's
can
always the case.
accommodate that.
I just ended up in the hospital, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I fell down yesterday, you know,
Yeah.
any number of things could happen. But assuming everything, yeah, well, hopefully by the time we're doing this, we will be out of blizzard season. So in the course of a day, they'd get a tour, they'd meet with the staff group, they'd meet with the citizens group, and they'd meet with you. What sequence that occurs, you know, we'd probably take them to lunch, you know, they'd have a full day in Northfield, ending, and then we would debrief, and then after the last one was done, we'd make a decision how we wanted to move forward.
Yep,
Okay.
Does that sound okay?
I like it.
yes.
And then the first round, if there's a first round, it would be some number of you, it could be all of you if you wanted.
Yeah, we could have it, like,
You're not
for
12 like Rob.
flexibility, like, not all of us are gonna be able to be at each one. So if we wanna do the thing where we share the recording, we can do that, or we
And
can
the
just
most
trust
important thing is
that
for us to
at
see
least a
all
couple of
candidates.
us, yeah.
And in a first round interview, you know, I think, particularly on Zoom, it works best anyway if only one or two people are asking the question.
Exactly.
You know, in person, it's different.
Yeah.
Remember we
If they
had
can't-
2 or 3 when
Yeah.
we interviewed for economic.
If
Yeah.
they can't handle getting questions from 5 select boards live, then they can't do this job.
Right, right,
But,
it's
but
gonna happen all the
at
time.
At the first round, remotely, if it's
Yeah.
just Charlie and I, or Dave and I, or who you and I, you're just
Yeah.
asking the questions of them, and everyone else gets to listen and see them, then that should be sufficient.
Yes.
And it, you know, it's usually a half hour, 45-minute interview too, it's not a big long one, so.
Yeah.
Okay,
Do we need to decide the numbers for the citizen committee? No, that can be later.
you can be thinking about that, you're gonna have a little while before we get
Yeah,
to that, so.
well, and I know, like, we can think about which representative, like, usually we go with a Norwich representative, somebody from the school, at large.
Yeah.
There may be a couple others.
So however you wanna structure that.
Okay.
I can help you if you want, it sounds like you have a pretty good handle on that, so you probably don't need me to decide that for you. And how you know, how you wanna time it,
I know too, I just wanna make sure we give the public notice of what they would have to do if they wanna be involved very
I think that's very
clearly.
important.
Yes.
That
Well, the
it
way he
will-
laid it out,
Yeah,
I think would be, if you would provide that verbiage,
so you want me to draft an ad?
yeah, for
Yes.
public involvement, yes,
So that would be for this
Why not?
committee for the final.
why not?
yes, with a clear, like, this is when you need to, if you have to submit a letter, or whatever it is.
Right.
So how do you wanna do
this
that?
Date and the,
How would you normally do that? This is kind of.
Well, that's where we have been falling down, where we haven't been, so that's why we're relying on you to give us guidance on that and to implement that
yeah, I
properly.
mean, for the last search committee was the police chief one. We posted the ad for citizen involvement on our website and on Front Porch Forum, and people had to submit a letter of interest.
Okay.
We had established, I can't remember if there were more than the Norwich representative, school representative.
Law
Did we
enforcement,
request a law enforcement
yep,
representative?
Well, so you don't necessarily need, that would be for a police chief.
That, yes, that was for the police chief, so that's
Do you have a
not the same
downtown
for
group
the-
or a chamber of commerce? or-
No, I wish we did.
Kind of.
sort of we do,
We
we
have
have
a
CDN, or is that?
Yeah.
NCDN is a,
So
yeah,
then you
they're
might want
not,
someone from
they're
From
that.
not a
NCDN, yeah.
downtown group.
They would, yes, they are.
You think they are?
Well, we have been working on with Tom Davis the application to be a designated downtown, and we had already
Use them as the
designated
committee,
NCDN
the
as the one that
organization.
would be
Okay.
our downtown
That's true, you
organization.
did do that.
If
It's
we,
true, you did do
ma-
that.
if we
So
get that
do have
designation from the state.
somewhat of one, but not a formal
Well,
one,
but
chamber of
it's just,
commerce.
essentially someone who's representing the business community, is what, the commercial business community, that's, you know, the retail markets and the restaurants and things. And you know, you can't ask every
Well,
single one of them to do it, so if
I
there's a
don't-
That group doesn't really
That
represent
group
that.
does not represent those people, it's not like that.
No, they're more of a.
It's not a downtown merchants association,
No, I
it's a
understand, but they usually
development
work
group.
in partnership.
Yeah.
Because they, you know, the idea is to promote the downtown,
Yeah,
that's what a designated downtown does.
well, we'll figure that, like
Yeah.
you said, we have time, but I
Yeah.
think what's
So
most
I think,
important
I'm
is
just
to
looking at, I
lay
would,
out the
maybe we just,
rules to join the committee and
Yes.
communicate it.
we're gonna talk about the schedule here next, but
Yep,
maybe we have the deadline for this committee being the same day as the deadline for the applications.
Mhm.
and then you can sort out how you wanna, who you want on there, and then you could have formally approved that at an upcoming meeting and post it. People probably don't need, they're not gonna write a full resume, and they don't need 30 days necessarily to
No.
apply, so.
No.
Okay. I will get, that'll
And
be on
between
my,
the five of us, we'll know 99%
Oh,
of the
yes,
interest.
between the five of us, yeah, we will.
okay, so we've talked about, public involvement, how you're gonna get your applications, so we'll get a couple more things here left before we get to the schedule. Where do you wanna advertise?
Where do you suggest?
So, funny you should ask. I recommend, one paper, either 7 Days or the Times Argus or both. 7 Days really gets statewide coverage.
Yeah,
I'd do both.
both.
Okay, okay, so both papers. We don't get a lot from, although I gotta say, I just posted Charlotte and I've already got 2 from 7 Days that came in, so, and that was yesterday I posted it, so.
Yeah, I think 7 Days gets a lot of people.
Yeah,
Yes,
and they
it
have a
does.
website with a link, it's actually pretty slick, I didn't realize it, so when they post it in the paper, it's also on their website, and the website has an apply here click that sends it straight to the email you set up.
Yeah.
My philosophy has always been cast the widest
Yeah.
net possible.
Yep, I agree, so
Yeah.
that will get you some locals. I would recommend International City Managers Association, ICMA, that's
Definitely.
that's
Oh, yeah,
national.
that's the
Yeah.
professional
Yeah.
association.
For
Mm.
sure.
And then the Maine Municipal Association, New Hampshire Municipal Association, Vermont League of Cities and Towns.
Yep.
I don't think we would necessarily want to go to Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts. I don't think at this price we're gonna get anybody. And if,
What about New Hampshire?
I said New Hampshire.
Yeah,
Oh, you
Maine
did?
and New Hampshire.
Maine,
What
New
about
Hampshire,
upstate New York?
we could do upstate. So here's one to consider. I just learned this recently. When you do an ICMA ad, for an extra $37, you can add the New York Managers Association.
Okay, let's
Yep.
do it, $37.
I'll give you the check right now.
That's all right.
I'll collect that.
And again, my theory on this is if you are a professional in this field from any of these states and you're looking to move out of state, you're looking at the ICMA newsletter. So I think in Maine and New Hampshire, there's enough, towns are small enough, not all the people are ICMA members, so they get it through their local municipal association, it's a good way to get them. But if you're in one of the larger states and you're looking, we don't need to go to
So
the,
they'll,
No.
and
to
then,
cast that wider net, oh, go ahead, do you have more than?
well, there's like governmentjobs.com, there's LinkedIn we could do Indeed, we could
I
do.
like LinkedIn.
Yeah, I like LinkedIn and Indeed,
Okay,
because I think that will capture the non-municipal potential candidates.
So it
it'll
sounds,
also get you a lot of people who are not.
It gets you a lot of
Well,
garbage.
then you're gonna earn your pay.
Yeah, well,
so if you contact ICMA, is that regional, is that my takeaway, or is that national?
national,
It is national.
international, actually.
Right, that's the first place I would go, so.
But to Dave's point, it's, if you're a non-municipal professional, where are you gonna see this? And so it's the ads,
Yeah.
and it would be the LinkedIn's and the Indeeds.
So the only question I would follow up on it is a ballpark figure to use all these, do we have a cost estimate?
ICMA's $450, New Hampshire's $150, VLCT is free for us, Maine is free if it comes through VLCT. I think it was like 400 something for 7 days.
Mhm.
I don't know what the Times Argus is. Extra $37 for New York. LinkedIn is free. I don't know what Indeed is.
So, under $2,000.
Right, and we budgeted,
Yeah.
that was all in your
Yeah,
advertising.
exactly.
I mean, this is your outreach.
This is very important.
And you are all outreach professionals now. So anybody you know in any walk of life that you think might be a good candidate, this is your chance to say, hey, you might wanna think about applying for this. I had a current Vermont manager call me this morning to pour out their tale of woe in their community. I said, well, Northfield's opening.
Thank you.
But I mean, you've gotta,
And we met with the president of Norwich University yesterday, and he has a lot of contacts that he
Well,
wants
you know,
to
they have an
help
MPA,
with.
so we mentioned, they have an
Right.
MPA program, so that's actually another place we should go, because they can, I don't know if they have a alumni,
Oh, they
They
do.
do, they have a careers office.
so, but I mean, something that they can send out to MPA
They do.
grads, so, MPA program, okay, great. Someone know who I could contact there?
Um,
I'm sure if I just find
yeah,
it.
John.
John? John?
Rod Better?
Well, no, I wouldn't go to him, I would go to,
Dave Whaley?
Dave Whaley is no longer there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So Dave Casey is in development. The new alumni director, I can't remember his name. I'll get it to you.
Okay, but I'll go to the
Yeah.
MPA program too.
Yeah, he's looking it up on Google, he'll find it right away.
That's what I
Give
mean,
them something to do.
yeah.
Miss Provost
Are you
used
so
to be
bored?
Mark's wife, used
Oh,
to be the
Catherine.
director, Catherine used to be the director of the placement and career
Right.
office. And she had a lot of contacts,
Oh,
so,
Love them Rolodexes.
all right, well, we'll find,
Yeah.
we'll find Norwich, so that's an additional, link. So that, again, that's a good local.
mhm.
Okay, and then really, I think, other than that, we are good,
Sarah Garland?
Yes,
and that's career placement? Or is that
That
MPA
is
program?
alumni.
alumni, she's in that office,
All right. I'll figure it out.
yeah.
We've talked about who participates, we've talked about receiving the applications, particularly ads, background check. I assume we're gonna wanna do a thorough background check.
Full,
Yes.
whatever it is.
Yep. So,
Why? It could disqualify some candidates.
well, actually, the way it works under the law is you can't really do one until you have a final candidate. So
Right.
you can't use it to,
Yep.
you know, it's only you make a conditional offer
Offer.
and you do the background check. You know, there is, so in addition to the normal things, is a media check, and it's, I don't know, $1,500, it's not cheap. But it will go back 10 years, and anytime this person has been in media in any way, print media, any kind of media, they will find it. I say that, they're bound to miss something. So it's up to you, you know, that may be if
That's
it's
a
some-
very good idea.
It's a good thing to do. What I'd suggest is we just say something like subject to extensive, you know,
Yeah.
background check.
Yes.
If it's someone from the region that we know who's already been an experienced manager somewhere,
Yeah, it
you
may
know,
not
maybe we
be.
don't need to do that. If it's
Correct.
someone from out of state,
That's
and we
exactly
just
what
like
I was
to,
gonna say.
Is that $1,500 per candidate?
yes.
But we only
Oh,
do
we
it
don't
to
do
the
it for the
one
final.
person you
can only do
offer
it
it
for
to.
the finalist. Well, you can do it for as many as you want. That one you can do.
Yeah,
But,
but we probably wouldn't do
You
it
probably
for.
wouldn't unless you had two, but, you know, the fact is, I certainly will be, I would imagine most of you are gonna be Googling these people anyway. So it's just gonna be.
Maybe we wouldn't have to do it if we
Well,
all Google
you know,
somebody.
In this town, whoever's name surfaces, and it will be Googled to death.
Right, yeah, and I think sometimes just if
That's
you
a
know,
good thing.
Yeah, it is a good thing, and I think, you know,
Should've
we all know
happened
that people
before.
make mistakes in life, and it's more important if they dealt with it. You
Yes.
know, if they come in and say, look, when you Google me, you're gonna find this, and let me tell my side of the story, and then, you know, we had a situation when we hired Brian Pete, who was an excellent police chief in Montpelier. He was in a lawsuit with his former community, and it was all this crap, and so I asked, you know, he gave me his full story. I called several people in the community, including the town manager or city manager who he was in the suit with. And she actually said, he's a good guy. She says, you know, anyway, so I went to the city council and said, look, I'm gonna hire this guy, but I want you to know, this is what you're gonna find, and this is what we found out about it. And they were like, okay, so sure enough, we hired him, and immediately someone came running, did you know? And they were like, yep, we do, and we're satisfied, and it just went away after that. So, you know, it was because it wasn't like, oh, we found it.
Right.
Somebody has already sent their letter of interest to be on the selection
Excellent.
committee. I just got it.
All right,
No, yeah, there'll
But
be a
that's
lot.
and then
There will be
typically,
an official email that you can send it to.
so, and then the last thing on the list is typically, one of the services you buy is me negotiating the contract with the prospective person, obviously with your involvement.
Yeah.
I'm your agent, I don't get to make the rules.
Yeah,
And, I sent you my contract genericized.
Yeah.
And mostly so you can see the types of things, not the language per se, but you see the types of things that are typically discussed
yeah,
in a manager's contract. And I don't think we have to make any decisions on any of them now, but it may be during the process, someone might say, well, does this come with a car, does this come with a cell phone, does this come with, whatever, and.
yeah.
Well, we have those answers, yeah.
Yeah, so,
I don't know if we'll wanna work with Mick, but I recall that John Klesch offered
I
his
would
help
say
with this
we will
contract, and
ask
I would
John.
think that it
100%.
would be a good idea to work with
absolutely,
him.
100% you want your attorney on this, in terms of
Oh,
the
yes.
legalisms.
Yeah.
I think it's, the terms are,
Yeah.
and if it's John, I've worked with John, we work really well together, so, I'd love to work with John.
Why wouldn't we go with Mick?
I just know John has extensive experience and
Okay.
specifically said he could help us
I would agree with
make
that
sure that,
100%.
I'm not saying anything negative about Mick
All
at
right.
all, I
No.
really like everything we've
No,
done
I
with
think
Mick,
he
but-
John is specialized, and plus he has experience working with us regarding contracts.
Yep. So, I think really that was just an outline, I think obviously the severance terms, I think are important, being an ICMA member, being able to go to the things, those are gonna be important. If you wanna put a residency clause, or you wanna put it, some places put a term, some just have the separation requirements, I tried to highlight some of the questions you could ask, we have to do a deep dive, I'll work with Steve and Lori to get your benefits and all that kind of stuff. So that I can, my personal preference, and everybody negotiates differently, my personal preference is that if anything, well, they should have ICMA, the professional development stuff, like that's just gonna be important to a lot of professional managers, they want, you're kinda lonely in these jobs,
Yeah.
you're in the town, you wanna be able to,
Well, we
Talk to-
encouraged our
yeah.
last one to
Right.
be involved.
yeah, so I think that's gonna be important to a lot of people. My preference is that you put anything in pay. You don't give them a car, you don't give them anything extra. If they want all that, just pay them. And that way, and then they get the same benefits as everybody else. It's not like, oh, they get a car, they get a cell phone, unless you give everyone cell phones, in which case then great, then they get the same cell phone as everybody.
Yep,
It just is easier, if it costs you an extra 10,000 at the end for all these things, great, but then it's all there. Whether it's a retirement contribution or whatever, it looks, right, it just becomes easy.
I'm sorry, but I'm just thinking over, when Steve took over and he sat down on the desk, he found 5 cell phones.
Yeah,
they're still there. I was wondering what those were.
yeah, cell phone is one thing that I would say, but
It's a function of the job.
it's an absolute function of the job. Some people prefer having two, they wanna work one and a personal one. I didn't,
Absolutely.
I was like, I'm just gonna have my own, just pay me an extra $500 a year and I'll buy my own phone. But that was his personal preference, but I also get, it's public document if someone wants.
Exactly.
So, if somebody wants a work cell phone, I think that's a very reasonable request. And it's just really,
We have them.
yeah, Zach, sounds you got a few
And
extras.
if he's over 50, we can go
How
with
old are
Consumer Cellular and get it for $30 a month.
I think the one thing
So
you
that's
do,
the problem with your phone. You have the jingle, or whatever it's called.
the one thing you're really gonna wanna think about is the severance. Nobody probably is gonna take this job without some kind of severance, and having it spelled out.
Oh, believe me, we're very,
Yep,
Yes.
Yeah, and if it comes to a point that it's time for another board to decide to let this guy go and it's not for cause, that's a different severance than you just don't cut the mustard and you're gonna go.
right. So I think there's a lot of ways to structure that. And actually, the way I structured my contract, I altered that a little bit. By the end, I was like, I don't care what the reasons are. If you wanna let me go, just pay it, I won't contest it. I waived all my rights to hearings, even if it was for, I don't wanna mess around. You want me gone, I'm gone, right? I'm 65 years old, I don't,
Seville, is there a,
What you can do is, is that if you wanna terminate the person just because, you could have that in there. If you want to terminate them from cause, there's some very strong rights in Vermont. So you would have to go through a whole due
We
process.
found out.
You'd have to find cause, you'd have to do all those reasons, and if you don't win, then you probably end up paying your severance anyway to negotiate a separation with them.
Yes.
So, you know, it's just. You were starting to ask something and I cut you off.
We're all set.
Sure?
Yep.
Okay. So I think, and that's where John can really advise you on the legalisms of it. You know, so, you know,
Yeah.
and again, if somebody's moving, you know, taking a risk, they're coming here from somewhere else, they get a family or whatever, they buy a house, and then a year later, it's like, hey, you're not working. You know, it's gotta be they've gotta have feel like there's some protection for them.
All right, so I will ask it. Is there a normal probation period
Oh,
for
yeah.
managers?
Oh, yeah,
And what is that
yeah.
normally?
6 months usually.
6 months,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. But that could also be negotiated, but, yeah, I think that, no, for sure. I mean, there is certainly, any employee takes a job in municipal government is expecting to have some period that they're at risk.
Yeah, some are, I just wanted to get an idea of what
And
the
you-
term would be.
Yeah, you-
Some are I think most of our employees are 90 days.
Oh, really? Wow, that's
Yeah.
fast.
Not
That's
all,
a-
no, I don't think so.
No,
It's 6 months.
It is
With-
6 months?
With an extendable.
Yeah.
It is, okay, I misspoke.
That's 6 months is pretty standard. I know in Montpelier, we had a thing in DPW, it was 6 months, except you had to go through a winter season. So
That makes a lot of sense.
Well, just for DPW.
Yeah, of course.
Because, you know, so if it fell, it might actually be 9 months if,
Right, you don't wanna,
you want to make sure they show up to plow and they can do all this stuff. But anyway, otherwise, 6 months is pretty standard with an extendable. And in that case, right, you let them go on probation and you don't owe any severance. I mean, that's pretty standard. Unless you've got your great candidate and they won't agree to that, then you've got to decide. But, yeah, that's normal. But then after that, 6 months is pretty standard, and sometimes then, depending on longevity, it extends over a period of time. Like mine was a year, but I was there 30 years, so I added a little bit, like after I added like a week a year after a certain period of time. It took 20 years for me to get to the max. So I started however it worked.
Any other questions from the board?
I have one.
We still gotta do schedules, so,
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I thought you said we're done.
on that.
On that.
Schedule now that you've decided will go pretty quickly. So, good, John, go ahead.
There have been a number of people who came to Norwich with the expectation that Norwich or someplace else would hire their spouse. And in some cases, it did not work out, the hiring the spouse. And so I'm wondering what people are going to apply that are looking for their spousal employment.
I think that's their business,
Yeah.
and they're gonna make their own decisions based on, they're either going to say, well, there's opportunity there, state of Vermont's in central Vermont, you know, Norwich is there, whatever, or not. This kinda goes back to the residency thing. You know, if someone lives 15, 20 miles away, their spouse already has a job, that's maybe in the other direction. You know, that makes it this an okay place to apply, because we don't have to disrupt our life, we don't have to find a second job for our family. So I don't think the town ought to be getting involved in that in any way, shape, or form. We shouldn't be making, I mean, that's entirely up to them. If they're gonna take that risk or whatever, you know. When just speaking personally, when I took my job, we had zero expectation that my wife, you know, was gonna have a job. It was like, if she does, great, but it was like, we're planning this as though And we had little kids, so she wasn't planning to work then, so it kind of fit, but you make your own decision. I mean, that's, we should not get involved in that at all. I mean, they may ask us, you know,
For
what does
advice
what's around here for my husband or wife to do? And we can say, well, here's some major
Here's what there
employers.
is,
Yeah,
yeah.
here's major employers, but we're not a job agency for anybody but this job.
But, yeah, okay.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, I remember back in the old days, my father got hired as a high school principal and hired my wife as my mother as a teacher. You know, in the same school district, because that's what you did, but anyway. So let's whip through the schedule. This should be pretty straightforward now that you've made some decisions. January 21, that's today, we just had all of these things. You just did all the things you need to do, yay, thank you. So between now and next week, I will be preparing the ad, the brochure material. I did, by the way, I'd sent out a thing about photos. I did talk to Tom earlier today. He's
Oh.
gonna get me a bunch.
I was worried when I wrote that to you, and I thought, oh, that's kind of a flippant attitude, like, go look here, go look there.
He's actually was the first person I thought of, but
Yeah.
you know, I'm in a weird place where I don't wanna ask department heads directly.
Yep.
Yeah,
You know, I would've gone through Steve's and tried
John
copies.
Knox would probably offer,
Oh,
Well,
he
that
has,
name,
no-
that name came up too. So what happens, I had a meeting
Okay.
with staff this afternoon.
Sure.
Tom was here.
yeah,
And we got talking about it, so I said, hey, Tom, could you, and he mentioned Knox.
John Knox, yeah.
Knox, yeah, so Tom's on it, he's gonna
Okay.
send me a bunch of photos.
great,
okay,
And then I'm
good.
gonna write up all the stuff that we talked about today and all the stuff that you gave me in, into this lovely brochure, and you're gonna just say, oh my God, I wanna live in this town, I wanna work in this town, I want this job.
We do clean up nice.
I know.
It's that old colonial tri-corner hat thing,
Yeah, exactly, that's right.
I know.
That's right. So that will happen. Once those are ready to go, we'll post. I'm assuming it's gonna probably be, so you will have to approve anything now. Again, it can be all of you. Most places just delegate it to either the chair or somebody on the board and say, we're giving you aesthetic, you know, just to keep things moving and not having to have a board meeting to vote to approve a
A
brochure.
brochure,
Yes, I think
yeah,
we should
let's do
delegate.
that. You do it.
me,
What is it you do when you don't wanna do it?
yeah, that is what you do,
Yeah.
not it. Chair, do you want to have approval over aesthetics?
You got the time?
It shouldn't take a lot of time.
I've got a brand manager, for a wife, I'll have Cassie do it.
No,
No,
that's
you
not
have
what
to-
we're doing. We're not
No,
doing
I'll
spouses.
do it, but I'm going to, there's nobody
You're gonna enlist
It's
her
like, it's
help.
like I use my proofreader, my professional proofreader that's
I
gonna
do
proofread.
too.
Yeah, everybody needs to have another
like to
pair of
send it to both
eyes
of
on
them.
Well, my
something.
husband is also
Exactly.
very qualified, but-
Exactly.
Well, that's why we nominated you first.
no. What is this? You guys are so weird with your spouses.
Well, we get our resources.
Some
where
of
we
us
get.
don't have a spouse like that.
So should I just send it to the two of you?
Sure.
Is that the decision? So I will
Yes.
send it to Lydia and Charlie,
Cool.
and whoever you choose to consult with is fine with me, but I'm only gonna take directions from you two.
That's right,
Okay.
that's fine.
Perfect, okay. So I will get those out to you, and, you know, and we really do want feedback. So if you don't like the way something's worded, or you don't like a photo, this is the time to do it, because once it goes out, we can't change it.
Mm-hmm.
So we get that out, I'm hoping your job will be posted by February 6th, we give it 30 days to March 7. Now, we've got town meeting coming up, are you expecting a turnover on the board?
Yes, I'm not going to be here.
Okay. So,
And town meeting is no
We don't-
longer
right.
in Northfield.
but do you still have elections?
We do.
Yeah,
Yes.
And what day is that?
March 2nd or something
March
like that,
2nd.
or 3rd, somewhere around there. So then this process will be carrying forward with at least one new member.
Yes.
yeah, for sure.
Right, because you're stepping down to become a candidate for manager.
You shouldn't smoke that stuff, Bill, because you're too high.
Here's my generation, Charlie.
Right, no, I'm done.
So the applications will be due end of, March 7, so that's great, we'll have the new board in place. The following week, I will forward those to you. It won't probably take me all week, but I allow it for the schedule as soon as I can get them ranked. And then we will meet either, we can either just do a virtual meeting, or I can come here, it's not, you know, it's not like I gotta drive a long way, and we can just sit down and say, yep, these are the ones we want. Then we have our, so we select our candidates, we do our first round candidates, which are gonna be by Zoom with just one or two of us on the Zoom, or as many as can make it, a couple spokespeople, and if anyone can't make it, we'll send the recording, that's what we decided. And if we don't need a first round, then everything just moves up to fill in that, so, you know, if we only have 4 good candidates, and we wanna move them straight to the finals, then whatever that week of the second, you know, that just moves up to.
We won't have a board meeting until March 10th.
Well, we probably have to have you know, these are probably best for special gatherings because they take some time, and you try to do these during regular business and you end up either doing it at 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Or, you know, you try to do it at the beginning and then there's a bunch of people wanna talk about something else and you gotta try to, you rush it.
We've done that. We don't like
I don't like that,
Right.
yeah,
You know,
we
like
don't
this
like
is, I
that.
really appreciate you, this is actually ideal time to do it, or something like this, you know, early evening when we can just talk about it, so. Unless you don't want it, I mean, if you wanna do
No,
it at a
I-
regular meeting, I'll do it.
No, we're
No.
good, we're good, we
Preferred.
like
So,
this.
But the point was that we won't have the committees of the select board selected until the
Gotcha.
10th.
shouldn't
That
need
shouldn't affect.
affect this, and I think then you would, at the 10th, you'd appoint your, that's when you
New
would appoint.
chair,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the vice chair,
Oh, I see, well, that's okay, we still wouldn't be doing the interviews till then.
okay.
You'd be fine with that. And you would be, and that's when you'd be approving your resident committee who, again, if we're lucky, I don't know what's lucky. If we, for speed, if we're lucky, we get small and we can go straight to finals, then you'll have appointed your people and we can do it. If we get a great pool of candidates, it's gonna take longer, you've still appointed your people, so.
When are we appointing the people, tell me that?
So I was thinking we'd just have those applications due March 7 as well.
Okay,
And you'd appoint
okay,
your committee on March 10.
okay.
or whatever.
Citizens 2, okay, it's March 7th, y'all.
And then you would, at your meeting of March 10, you'd appoint that committee.
Okay, that's when it is, okay, 3:10. Okay,
And,
okay,
and then that same week, we'd be looking at the applications, that were full, the scored applications.
Uh-huh.
Well, actually, the next week, we'd probably be, somewhere in those 2 weeks. I tried to allow lots of time. So if we can pick up time anywhere along the way, we can advance these. I do like to tell the candidates, particularly for the one in person, you know, in advance in case they have to plan travel. But I also don't want to lock us
Yeah, sure.
into doing the travel around April 6th to 10 if we can do it 2
Ken, did
weeks
you get
early.
the word, we're gonna have a budget meeting tomorrow?
Yeah, he sent us an agenda.
April 6th to the 10th?
Right.
And that's why we're looking, if that doesn't work. but-
That's not gonna work for me.
Okay,
Are you away?
I'm away, out of state.
okay.
What dates?
The 8th through the 12th.
Well, we can.
Is it possible, maybe we can get it before you go, but.
Right.
um,
What we probably wouldn't wanna do, out of fairness to candidates, is do one or two and then have a long break before you do the next one.
Right.
no, I don't
You know,
like that.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if we wanna do 3 days in a row, that can get a lot, but even if you do like Monday, Wednesday, Friday or something in the same week, or, you know,
Well, we can't do it that week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, because he'll be gone.
no, I understand,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
just
what I'm
saying that,
Oh.
it doesn't have to be,
I wouldn't
Monday-
get
it doesn't have to be Monday, Wednesday, Friday,
I
it could
think
be,
it's gonna go faster myself.
yeah, I mean, yeah, and I
So
remind
are you
everyone,
gonna
you just
give us
need
a
one really
recap?
good candidate.
Are you gonna give us a recap of the
Yes,
timeline?
so what you're
Okay.
gonna get, that's why I wanna find, you're gonna get what I call a recruitment plan, which is basically taking all of this, rewriting of what you've decided, and what we've come in and saying, here's what our plan is. And that's the next product you'll get from me. Then after that, you'll get the draft brochure and the ad, and once those are go, then we'll post the ads, and then you'll just get a weekly update saying we got 5 in today, 5 in this week, 2 in this week, whatever. however.
You're so optimistic.
Well, whatever we got none in. I will say, I posted Charlotte yesterday and I got 4 in already.
Yeah, but Charlotte's not Northfield and had a lot of high-profile icky poo.
True,
Yeah,
but they're only
but we
paying
have-
80 to 90 too.
Yeah, we have things
As
that-
leaders of this community, I don't think we should be talking that way.
Okay,
It's a good town.
Yep.
So, let's, we could, I think there's probably some hedge. We could probably do that first round of interview that week of March 16 to 20. Or somewhere kind of
Try
toward
to
the end of
move
that
it
into the
towards-
beginning of the next.
Yeah,
And then slide everything up a little.
yeah.
Why don't I take a look, because I've allowed a full week for me to score them and it won't take me that long. And then for you to all look at them, and then another full week for us to then pick who we're gonna talk to. So we could probably, other than the fact that you're changing your board over, we might be able to do all that pretty much the same week. And then try to interview the next week. Especially if we're doing it by Zoom and only, I mean, for that matter, if we're doing it by Zoom and you can't make it, I could just do it and send you the interview thing, so.
Yeah.
So that might, let me, I'm gonna squeeze some time in here and I'll send that back to you and then just make sure that April 8 to 12 is out. Because if we could have chosen a person by April 8th, and then we could be doing the negotiation and background checks and all that stuff, and then sometime after that, for you to vote to appoint them, and then, then the one thing we can't control is how long it's gonna take for them to get here. Depending on what notice they have to give for their job, if they're moving or whatever, that's could be.
And Steve's done in March also.
Yeah. Well,
Is number one.
yeah,
We're
but
lucky
by
to
the end
have-
of March, we'll be closing in and budget will be passed.
Spring fever, you think you're counting on spring fever, are you, Bill? Oh, my goodness.
I'm counting that. You just say, Steve, we just need 2 minutes. Never mind.
we wish you luck with that.
All right, are you done?
I am now done.
All right, we're opening up for public participation unscheduled. Is there anybody that would like to chime in or make comments or ask questions to the select board? Hearing none. Take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. With that done, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any objections or abstentions? Hearing none. We are adjourned. Well done.
Thank
Bill.
you.
Thank you.
Great, productive meeting.
Looking at
Decision
4:31,
makers, I'll give you that.
4:34.
Depends on the topic.
Sometimes they make good decisions and sometimes they make really bad decisions.
Mr.